As December 2020 draws to a close, it has actually been a solid end of the year for Google Stadia, with numerous high-profile game launches, the official branching out to Apple's mobile OS, plus plenty more twists and turns. And here we are, 6 episodes deep into our monthly look back at all things Google Stadia. Yes, welcome to Save State for December 2020. Thanks for watching 9to5 Google here on YouTube. Remember to thumbs up, hit subscribe, and then tap the bell icon to be among the first to watch our upcoming videos. I don't know if it's just me, but there feels like a breeze that feels like it's evolving into the winds of change at the moment surrounding Stadia means that the intense hatred for the platform seems to be slowly changing, at least towards the love side of things as more people try out the service. Maybe it's just me, but things seem massively positive. But as we trudge on, the biggest news of December, beyond the massive release of Cyberpunk 2077, which we will touch on later, was the official support for iOS as a platform. It's not a traditional solution, as it does require iOS 14.3 and a dedicated web app to work properly. Stadia on iOS is basically the same as playing on your desktop or laptop within a browser. Apple's frankly stupid rules regarding game streaming platforms means that in an effort to stifle services like Stadia, this is the only way for Google to release a working version for iOS players. It's a fairly simple process all in all though. Head to stadia.google.com in the Safari browser and only the Safari browser, and you can add the web app to your home screen for quick launching. It's a pretty painless process, and it is a little bit of a workaround, but at least it works so far. And as far as I'm concerned, the ability to play Stadia natively on the iPad Pro with a Bluetooth controller is a real game changer. It turns an already superb productivity machine into a portable gaming rig that edges out most smartphones thanks to the larger 11 and 12.9 inch displays. Overall, it plays just as well as it does within the dedicated app on Android, and hopefully it will bring about another wave of much needed players to the platform. Besides that, we'll be the first to tell you that the biggest hurdle with game streaming of any kind is maintaining a solid, consistent connection. After a full year of no infrastructure issues or problems that are of real note, December 2020 saw the first proper outage for Stadia. Firstly, there was a Google-wide outage on December 14th, with all services affected including Gmail, YouTube, Drive and Stadia, and even more on top. That wasn't long-lived though, as the entire outage lasted some 45 minutes or so. But just a day later, on December 15th, Stadia went down in the UK and some eligible European regions. Some games just fell into a launch cycle loop and were unplayable, others simply wouldn't load, with other players unable to access the service entirely. All in all, it lasted around 2 hours, which means that in the space of a year, only 3 hours have seen the game streaming service essentially dead on arrival. By any metric, that is pretty fantastic. Even more so when you consider just how web usage has increased due to COVID-19 lockdowns across the globe. So, without patting Stadia too hardly on the back, well done Google. Let's talk new releases though, as for patient gamers, the launch of several high-profile games on Stadia throughout December will have been a blessing right before the busy holiday period. We can't forget to mention that yes, Cthulhu Saves Christmas is now finally on Stadia. Well, we joke, but the biggest release in gaming in 2020 has undoubtedly been that of Cyberpunk 2077, and it arrived on Stadia in some style. While many console players complained of terrible frame rates, performance issues and massive day one patches, and filled with frankly hilarious glitches, those who pre-ordered on Stadia or picked it up on launch night could just sail into Night City without a worry. Possibly the most hyped game of the past 5 years is not without issues, but they were simply none on Google's game streaming service. For those without a high-end PC, Stadia has proved to be the best way to play Cyberpunk 2077 without any issues of note. It looks gorgeous, it runs like a dream, and we can't recommend it highly enough. At the end of this year, 2020, we have approximately 154 titles as of the latest count to choose from, or that are listed as available. We can see why Gamers TM see that as a negative, but other cloud services such as GeForce Now do technically have a library of over 2,000 games to play from, provided you have the titles on your Steam library already. Ubisoft did dump a ton of older Assassin's Creed, Watch Dogs and some other titles into the Stadia store for late December 2020 though, which is a good sign that Ubisoft is truly supporting the platform long term. Another big title in the form of Immortals Phoenix Rising is a pretty large game to arrive on Stadia with hints of Zelda Breath of the Wild and a footing in Greek mythology. It's a comic adventure that definitely feels like a solid alternative for those looking for a story-focused adventure game with a character very reminiscent of Link, so it's well worth a look. Some other notable indie titles joined the game libraries for Stadia in December 2020, including Enter the Gungeon, a game that is described as a bullet hell dungeon crawler, which to our mind is effectively an insane 2D side-scrolling shoot 'em up. Reigns is also a weird Tinder gaming hybrid that has you swiping left and right to make decisions on a medieval kingdom. Yeah, interesting concept. It's also a neat game overall. Lara Croft and the Guardians of Light is the final new title to join the growing library, but we're expecting more in the new year. Of course, we say it every month, the Stadia Pro subscription tier might not be worth it for everyone, but given that you have a wealth of games to pick up as part of that $8.99 plan, we think it's essential for avid players. December 2020 saw 6 titles join the Pro tier, and looking ahead to January 2020, you'll only be able to grab a measly 4 games from January 1st, 2021, including Ari and the Secret Seasons, Figment, F1 2020 and Hotline Miami. That does seem a bit stingy by Stadia standards, but F1 2020 and Ari Secrets of Seasons are priced at $29.99, normally $59.99 and $39.99 respectively, making it a little bit less painful given the subscription fee here. It's also worthwhile remembering to claim the December free titles, as there will be some games leaving the Pro tier, including Celeste, Dead by Daylight, Ember, Guilt, Risk of Rain 2 and Rock of Ages 3. Be sure to grab them before New Year's Eve 2020, because once January 1st, 2021 rolls around, you won't be able to grab them unless you're happy for paying each title individually. The count will stand at 32 titles after the additions and subtractions, which is still a fairly sizable library for those going on your Pro subscription tier. Let's talk some highlights and tidbits for the platform though at the year's end, as a huge reason for the added hype surrounding Cyberpunk 2077 on Stadia was a promotion that would net you a free Stadia Premier Edition controller so long as you pre-ordered by a certain cutoff date. The promotion proved so popular that Google had to end early due to overwhelming demand. Now, we're still hoping that the player base can explode in the coming years, but this is a sign that things are starting to slowly turn around for the service, especially as no accurate estimates are known for the size of the Stadia community at large. While Cyberpunk on Stadia has helped grow that player base, it should get an influx globally, as Stadia has now expanded to 8 more European nations in December 2020 after being notably absent at launch. If you're in Austria, the Czech Republic, Hungary, Poland, Portugal, Romania, Slovakia or Switzerland, then you can now enjoy Stadia in full from today. We've also seen some long promised features come to the platform too, as avid and beginner streamers can now link their YouTube accounts and stream gaming sessions directly to their dedicated YouTube channels from within Stadia. It's pretty rudimentary and pales in comparison to a proper OBS setup, but it's a neat way to start a live stream without needing any extra gear or even any extra skills to set up a proper streaming rig. And although we haven't seen a great deal of UI changes or tweaks since Stadia launched back in November 2019, a big refresh has come to the web app recently that is more cohesive and easy to navigate. The updated interface shows your most recently played games first, with 3 new boxes appearing off to the side. The first of those is for pro games, with the second being a Stadia news section that links over to community.stadia.com. Finally, the new releases section. The first and last of these new boxes are just shortcuts to those portions of the Stadia store, but we still desperately need a search option, please Google. Also, when signing up for a new Stadia account from December 2020, you'll see a screen that allows you to start a Stadia Pro free trial with a single click. No need to enter any payment information. The catch? Well, these Stadia Pro trials are only valid for 30 minutes. Then you'll need to enter some sort of payment method to continue the regular free 1-month trial. It might not be a huge deal, but it's fine for people who just want to test Stadia before signing up for a longer test drive. And for $15 per month, you're now able to access all of the Ubisoft library of games on Stadia, which might be worthwhile if you are fully invested in the developer's biggest and most well-known titles. For most people, it's likely cheaper to just pick up and choose their favourite games rather than paying for a subscription on top of Stadia Pro. As for upcoming features, we've previously mentioned that state share capabilities potentially being utilised within in-game captures are coming soon, but version 2.45 of the Android build of the Stadia app does drop further hints upon how it might work without really fully revealing how it will work. In simple terms, you should be able to share a specific game clip or image, and a friend can jump in at that exact point and play it for themselves. This could open up challenges way beyond what is currently possible elsewhere online or offline. And as 2020 comes to a close, in an interview with The Escapist, Google's head of product for Stadia, John Justice, gave us some serious insight into the state of the platform, potential future plans, and how certain features may be expanded further. That included revealing that work is still ongoing on the dedicated Stadia Android TV app, which is long overdue, plus how YouTube integration is likely to expand in 2021. We can't of course do full justice to the interview, so we recommend you tune into yourself to the 14-minute clip, which is well worth a listen for hardcore Stadia fans, and we'll link that in the video description below. It's been quiet on the upcoming games front, but the Game Awards 2020 revealed several new titles set to arrive on Stadia throughout 2021, with 6 titles confirmed as arriving on the platform. As we see Google ship or add more and more titles to the platform throughout 2021 though, expect to get better updates from our growing Stadia changelog posts over on site, where we will be able to delve into the nitty-gritty of all game updates and potential launches. That said, you'll still see Cheer, Disco Elysium The Final Cut, Outriders Mantras of Survival, Ark Survival Evolved 2, Humankind Lucy and Elder Scrolls Online Gates of Oblivion at some point in 2021 on Stadia, which is always nice. So I think that about wraps up our final save state for 2020. I've thoroughly enjoyed seeing a new community grow and Stadia as a whole evolve. It's quite unlike the traditional gaming paradigms we've come to know and love, and it's worth remembering that Stadia, at the end of the day, isn't here to replace its rivals. It's simply another way of playing, which is always a good thing in my book at least. Let's open up the floor to you though. What have you been playing on Stadia throughout December 2020 and what have you been enjoying? Be sure to let us know down in the comment section below. You can also find my gamertag and Twitter handles down in the video description there too. Be sure to drop a message and say hi sometime. But until next time, I will speak to you later.